Let's dive into the New York Times, Tim. Let's hit this. We got everybody here. We're feeling good. Let's go to number one, Doctor. Turns out, Tim, that this broke over Thanksgiving. The courts, they've stricken down gun control measures in 2 states. Now, of course, they're talking about Maryland and Oregon, which we covered a lot, right? They covered Measure 114. We covered the Fourth Circuit. I think, by the way, I'd like to just throw that out there. But it turns out the New York Times is onto us, Tim. They're onto us.
Yeah.
Something is awry because I don't know what happened, but the Bruen decision has really gotten like caused an itch where they just can't quite scratch. Check out number 2. This is interesting the way this features in. In the wake of the landmark U.S. Supreme Court decision last year that significantly limits what the government can do to restrict guns. That's a change we're going to talk about right there in a second. States led by Democrats have scrambled to circumvent or test limits of ruling. A few have approved new gun restrictions, and Oregon did the ballot initiative. But this week, they suffered a pair of setbacks. Now, before we dive into the details here, Tim, did anything stand out to you in that first paragraph? Because for me, I've got 2 things that really stood out, because this is coming from the New York Times, of all places. No friend to gun rights.
Yeah.
No friend
the entire first paragraph stands out. I mean,
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
They're, what an amazing statement. They are shifting gears, it would seem, huh?
100%. I personally like the honest rhetoric of scrambling to circumvent the ruling.
They admit what they're doing. I mean, it's something we've been saying all along, right? They're constantly trying. They can't win legislatively, so they got to try everything else. So they try it through the courts. They try it through passing state laws. They try it through ballot initiatives. They try it through anything they possibly can, knowing full well that the Supreme Court's going to take a look at what they've done and go, no. And so we have some theories on that as well. Like they're just throwing everything at the wall, hoping something sticks, and that's their only strategy at this point. Is just desperation.
Yeah.
Just overwhelm the courts with all these decisions and all these, things that they do at the state level, and maybe they can get somewhere. I mean, it's a heck of a strategy, but I don't think it's going to play out the way they think. I think they're probably just going to aggravate.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Yeah, right.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out. No, exactly. So that's the first thing that stands out. It's kind of broad. Like, wow, you guys are being bold with this, using actual terms like circumvent Supreme Court rulings. But something else? This is a little more subtle that really caught my attention when I first read this. Listen to this. This is interesting. It's a change in tone, because whenever there's a change in tone, there's a reason. Last year, the Supreme Court, that significantly limits what the government can do to restrict guns. You know what's different about that, Tim? Prior to this instance, they've always said the Bruen decision dramatically expanded gun rights.
Right.
And we always were quick to say, no. It didn't expand gun rights. Right. It curtailed gun control. Right. That's the verbatim response that we had. But wait, all of a sudden, the New York Times is saying now it's limiting what the government can do to restrict guns. Yeah. Why would they change vernacular like that?
Yeah, complete opposite.
Something that was so hive-minded. Yeah.
That is interesting.
Isn't it weird? Because whenever these shifts happen, and it happens subtly, but it always happens and will carry forward. This happened last time they started talking about gun violence as an epidemic in the United States. Right. And that stuck for a few years. Yeah. They always change the narrative on you, and they go, oh, whoa, hold on, wait a minute, what was that? It's subtle. Then all of a sudden everyone picks it up. Right. I just thought that was very interesting.
Well, in the previous attempts to do the same thing, we've always shredded them. And so eventually we wear them down, right? True. So every time they make a stupid statement, we, you and I, and of course then the entirety of social media shreds them and just completely mocks them. And eventually they get tired of it until they find a new talking point like this one. And then they go forth with it, and they'll run with it for a while. And then they'll get beat up with that one that one might get them beat up by their own side. I mean, who knows?
It's true. That's true. Well, maybe I don't know, Tim, because after all, we're just gun guys on the internet. I'm sure it has nothing to do with this next one. Number 3, Doctor. The aftermath of Bruen has also prompted a surge in lawsuits challenging various gun laws. According to Giffords, a gun control group, subtle, with more than 450 decisions trying to interpret the case. Now, when you read it like that, you kind of go, oh, wait a minute, hold on. What can the government do to restrict guns? And then they talk about 450 decisions not restricting guns. It's almost like that was a complete setup to say, look what the crazy gun right people are doing.
Right.
They've got 450 things not restricting guns. All of a sudden, it's away from expanding gun rights because there are no cases of 450 lawsuits expanding gun rights. That doesn't exist. So all of a sudden it's, ooh, we got to get the narratives to match here, because if restrictions and then 450, and then Giffords comes out and flat out says, guys, we're kind of in trouble.
Mm-hmm. They are in trouble.
450?
Yeah. I mean, they're starting to realize the hole they're digging for themselves. And this is something we've pointed out many times. These clowns, with their desperate measures that they're employing right now, and they're just throwing everything at the wall, they're going to upset the courts, but they're also going to get a bunch of decisions. They're going to put them in a box. And so it's going to be very tough to get out of that box once they put themselves into it. And they're putting themselves into it at a dizzying pace, which is a great thing.
100%.
You know?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Never interrupt
it's
your
annoying.
enemy when they're making a mistake, you know? And
it is annoying as you can possibly imagine, watching them do all this stuff with the ATF, watching them do all these boyfriend loopholes, all these safer Senate bipartisan BS. It's annoying.
Yeah.
But man, are they really shutting a lot of doors on themselves. And like you said, when they're destroying themselves, let them do it.
Yep.
And that I thought that part was interesting, Tim. I hope it passes the interest test of the mullet man today.
Oh, it does. Most definitely.
Okay, good,
Yes,
good. Well, this next part, I think this next part is also intriguing. This is like the soup du jour of the same article. So if we go into 4, just tell me if something sounds weird here. Preliminary research indicates that judges appointed by Republicans are far more likely to strike down gun regulation laws after Bruen, said one of the paper's authors, Eric Rubin, a law professor at Southern Methodist University. Isn't that weird? Such was the case this week with Maryland, as the federal appellate court split 2-1 with an appointee of former President Donald J. Trump writing the majority opinion. Oh,
I know.
Orange man bad. Republicans do it. And you know what? If we didn't have these pesky Republicans following the actual law, we would have common sense gun regulations, Tim.
That's what they
I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it.
Wow, Doctor.
Thanks, Doc.
That was so timely.
You know, wow. I don't even know what to say about this one. They're saying that the Republicans are the whole reason why we are preserving our rights, and that's a bad thing. How?
Yep. And that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. Well,
so the Republicans are saying is the Republicans are just pro-gun and they're being politically motivated. No, I think the opposite is true. The Republicans are pro-Constitution in many cases. There are some that aren't. They're the Mitt Romneys of the world and the McNasties and stuff. God rest his soul. But you know, it's so infuriating to see them say that, because what they're saying basically is we have one group of Republicans that instead of saying they abide by the Constitution, no, they're just pro-gun and they're being political hacks. Where the Democrats are what then? Or what then?
Oh, Tim. Are you reading the notes again?
No,
because that's so we're going to the next one. I love when you do this, dude. I love when you do this, because that is exactly where we're going. All right, so keep in mind, you just nailed it. Republicans are bad. They're fulfilling the Constitution, and they are from Donald J. Trump. And all the bad things, the Republicans are more likely to do this, and therefore they're bad. Well, let's go to number 5, wrap up this entire article. God, you are so prescient. All right. While mass shootings have a significant impact on the psyche of America, they actually rank very low in frequency and are sensationalized by the media. This is Judge Ratio in Oregon, because we switched to Oregon. And here's the payoff. In a statement, Oregon's Attorney General Ellen Rosenblum, a Democrat, pledged to file an appeal and express confidence that the state would win. The case could ultimately be heard by a state Supreme Court whose 7 members have all been appointed by a Democratic governor.
Oh, gee, look, we have an ace up our sleeve. We have a bunch of anti-constitutionalists just waiting in the corner to shred your rights.
Dude, it's so bad.
Wow.
It's so bad. In one sentence, they're like, well, Republicans, they are tending to really break down these gun rulings.
They're literally talking about our rights in terms of Republican and Democrat.
Yes, 100%. But don't worry, because Oregon has Democrats.
Yeah.
Nobody?
Yeah. We have a whole bunch of people on the bench over here just waiting to shred your rights. You know, they're all wearing their little red hammer and sickle shirts. They're ready to go.
They're good. We're good. We're fine. It's bad when Republicans do it, but it's okay when Democrats do it, because after all, Democrats are on the right side of history, according to the New York Times.
But look at
it's laughable.
Look at their arguments just historically. Of course, that's how they think. What happens when the Supreme Court has a 1-seat majority for Republicans that were appointed, or justices that were appointed by Republicans? It's unbalanced.
It's out of balance.
It's only balanced, not at 50-50, folks, because it can't be.
Yeah, no.
Right? Because it's not a number of justices. But it's only balanced when they have a majority.
Exactly. We should just put more people on the court, and it's more imbalanced.
Right. And that's how they view the world. Right?
Yeah.
It's just...
That's exactly right.
All these...
Yeah, maybe they should be wearing the mullet.
They're so
Maybe
dumb.
they should be wearing the mullet for this.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe their class has gone up a little bit.
I guess the bigger question is how do we combat this stupidity? You know, it's
Man,
who could read this and have any level of reading comprehension, intelligence, any of the above, and not look at this and go, boy, that doesn't sound right. You know what I mean?
you know what?
Regardless of political
I do.
affiliation.
I do know what you mean. In fact, Dr. Button Pusher, can I get a Gavin Newsom on that one?
That's true because it's true.